The next tool that I would like to talk about is dataloader.io. You access this from your browser by going to the before mentioned link, and there, using your Salesforce credential, you will log into your org, as you can see on the screen now. Also, bear in mind that you can select different environments, so you can log into Sandbox if you need to, or a different developer sandbox, depending on your needs. After I'm logged in, you can see the screen on the top left. It says new task, and I'm going to go through the same exercise that I was going before, inserting accounts. And as you can see, the screens are pretty self-explanatory, and so I'm going to be using the same file, which has already the fields correctly mapped to the ones that I have in my Salesforce org. And I'm going to hit save and run, and afterwards I can see my job being queued in the history here. Once this job is completed, you will see the tick box on the left, and also the details related to the successes or failures. As you can see here, there are 30 successes, and if you click on them, a CSV file will be downloaded. It's similar to DataLoader with all of the details that are related to the action that you just performed. So as you can see here, the item status, and the one most important are the IDs. I'm going to be demonstrating an export as well of the account, so I'm going to be going to new job, new task export, and here I'm met with the same structure to create a SLQL query to export the details that I'm interested in. And you can see here on the left hand side, you can select the fields by using the quick search or just by scrolling down, and you can include those fields in your query as you see fit. Of course, you can also add orders, so you can order the records by a specific field, ascending or descending, and all of this you can also type in the query builder. So if you want to do this all manually, you can feel free to do so. There's no limitation that is blocking you from doing it. While this is executing, I would like to demonstrate a delete action as well. I'm going to be using the accounts that I have just inserted. So I'm going to be, first I need to download the IDs of the accounts. Those are very critical when you're using a delete option. So I would need to leave them to export, and then let me extract them from this. I'm going to be using the same file, so I don't need to change it that much. Given that I already have the IDs in the file, that's the most important. The rest of the fields are not very relevant. So I'm going to be using this file. As you can see, the ID field is already mapped, and if you want to click on anywhere else, you can't change any details. So when you're using the delete option, only the ID is important. And again, save and run, and you will see when the data is completed. Next, I would like to cover the most complex out of the bunch, which is called Demand Tools. Demand Tools is a tool that is installed on your machine, and unfortunately it's only available for Windows machines. Here I have installed a virtual machine which is called VirtualBox, and also a Windows 10 instance, so that I can demonstrate the capabilities of Demand Tools. This is by far the most expensive and the most complex out of all of the tools that I will be covering. And you can see in later modules that I'll be covering different functionalities of this tool. After I'm managed to log into my org, as you can see, it always asks for allowing access to the data that is going to be read from your org. I will be prompted with the home screen, and here on the top right you can see the number of days you have remaining for your license. This is a trial version. And I'm going to be demonstrating the Mass Effect. This is the data management part of Demand Tools. So if I want to export data from account, I just have to right click and export data. Here I will be using some conditions. For example, a specific country or a specific created date. For example, I can use the date of today. And also I'm thinking maybe I'm going to use some more filters so that it limits a bit the records that I am working with. So I'm going to be not equal to US. After I'm done with the conditions, on the right hand side you can see the fields to download. Here is the fields that are going to be selected will be shown in my extract. So if I can just manage to click on them, I would be happy that I can move to the next part. So when I'm finished with selecting all the fields that I'm interested in downloading from the org, I will move to the next section, which is the type of CSV separator if you have a different one, and just go to export data. So I'm going to be saving this on the desktop under a CSV file. You can save it in multiple formats as well. This tool offers a lot of flexibility when it comes to exporting and also importing. As you remember, some of the tools have a limitation when it comes only to CSVs, for example, data loader. And I've noticed something, that the number of records that was extracted was 0. And my suspicion is that this has to do something with the filters that I have put in place. So as I have here the blank file, I will have to update one of those, and I think, yeah, the created date is not properly set because all of the records were created before this time, so I would need to change it up a bit. And if I just select override the same file, I would be prompted, I would be prompted with the number of successful records that have been extracted, and that is 77, which you can see on the bottom left corner, and also how long it took to extract those records. Let me demonstrate another feature of Mass Effect, and that will be to remove those specific records that I have just created. So I'm going to select the file that I've used to extract, and I would select, you can see here that I can right click and auto map. This is basically mapping all of the fields that are available to it. And on the right hand side, these are the actions that I am capable of doing, and this is very nice that you can use the bulk API for higher jobs. So as I said before, I need to map the fields, and one correction, that I'm going to insert them, I'm not going to delete them. So delete will be in the next action that I'm going to be doing. So I'm just going to select insert, remap the fields, and you'll be prompted if you're sure that you want to go ahead, and you'll see the status on the right hand side. Of course, there are some logs which are created with the items success or failure. These are very key when doing data migrations, to keep them very tightly organized so that you can reference them going back. So you can never lose any files, any IDs, because then it's going to be pretty cumbersome to come back to find them. And as I was mentioning before, the delete functionality, we just select the file and then the action. And the only thing that I need is the ID field. So I can just drag and drop that, and it will be fine. I'm using here the account created Salesforce ID because this is the one that was created previously by Mass Effect. So if I process this, it should have no errors, as you can see here. I would like to also mention some best practices that I recommend based on the experiences that I had in the previous projects. Take into account limitations, make sure that the dates are correct, and also be very mindful of the triggers and workflows that you have in your org.